Okay, so going on. So 1 Kings chapter 13, verse 2. I'll read it again. So it says right here, and he cried against the altar. So I'm going to read one. 1 Kings chapter 13, verse 1, titled The Man of Yahweh from Judah. Verse 1. And behold, there came a man of Yahweh out of Judah by the word of Yahweh unto Bethel, which is in Ephraim. And Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense. And the man of the Lord cried against the altar in the word of Yahweh. He repeated his words, saying, O altar, altar, thus saith Yahweh, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, which is the bloodline of King David, by the way. This shows you that the bloodline of, when it says the house of David, it's only talking about David. You have the tabernacle of David, which is the ones that cling onto the to David, his house. 1 Kings chapter 12 explains that very good to you. 1 Kings chapter 12. We will cling unto the house of David because there's only one family of David. There's only one. It doesn't exist 15 houses of David because he had like 7 brothers or something like that. Yeah, none of them are the house of David. Only one. Only he. They are all the house of Jesse. They are. Yeah, that's 100%. Right. They're not all of the house of David because David is David. And his brother Eliah, I forgot his name. Eliah is the house of Eliah and stuff like that. Well, going on. Josiah by name. Josiah, I don't know. And upon thee shall be, and upon thee, upon the altar, shall he offer, so Joshua will offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee. So the people that have been burning incense upon you, O altar, you, I'm talking to you, I will make those men burn upon you too. And men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, This is the sign which Yahweh had spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. So, what does it say here in the book of, verse 2, in the second verse? It says, as precepts I have here, going to the book of Numbers. So for the precepts for verse 2, here. Precept Numbers chapter 19 verse 11. Well, actually, let me see. No, it's not here. Good. Okay. So what does it mean when it says that he will burn the priests of the high places that burn incense upon that altar? He will burn those men upon that same altar that they used to worship when they were alive, and men's bones shall be burned upon thee. What does that signify? It signifies that it will be defiled. So now going to the, let me see, 2 Kings chapter 23 verse 15. Moreover, the altar that was at Bethel, which is what we were reading about, I was reading, I hope you were reading too, what I was reading about in the book of 1 Kings chapter 13. And the high place which Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, had made, both the altar and the high place he brake down. I was looking for that, so sorry, I don't need this anymore, because I wanted to show you that it was talking about Josiah. It was talking about him, but I already saw it there. Sorry. Yeah, so going on. So it says right, so it says right here, both that altar and the high place, which is because, look, we had altars, but we had altars in high places like mountains, hills, and all these type of things. The righteous were doing it too. Yeah, I'm gonna show you right here. I have many scriptures on this. I'll just go to the point. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 20. No. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 2. Only the people sacrificed in high places. Why? Because there was no house built by Solomon unto the name of the Lord until those days. So what did we do? Here, no, let me see. And Solomon loved Yahweh, walking in the statutes of his father, of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burned incense in high places. That is what we used to do. And also in the book of 1 Samuel, so that was even before King David was born. Yeah, in the book of 1 Samuel, that's where King David, was born. He was born in these chapters, but still. The point is, here, Samuel, the point is this. So what did Samuel do? He sacrificed in the... Here, wait, let me see. He sacrificed in... Well, let me... Sorry. Yeah, verse 12. Yes, he is. So he is talking about Samuel because he was the seer, which is a prophet. For there is a sacrifice of the people in the day of the high place. That's where we did it. We sacrifice in the high place because it says right here, in the high place to eat, because that's where we ate. Because he doth bless the sacrifice in the high place, and Samuel to go up to the high place to do the sacrifices and stuff like that. That was all before the temple of King Solomon. But the temple of King Solomon is also in a high place, because it shows you right here, ascend. 1 Kings chapter 10. And the word ascend means, definition, it says a climb or walk to the summit of a mountain or hill. So when the queen of Sheba, here 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 5, and the meat of his table, so the queen of Sheba was talking here. Well, it was mentioned that her thoughts, she was looking at him. Here, verse 4, the queen of Sheba, seen all the wisdom of Solomon and stuff like that. Verse 5 now, I just read first, well, I glanced over verse 4. And the meat of his tables, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent, by which he went up unto the house of the Lord. Why? And there was some spirit. So basically it took her breath. Took my breath away. Now it says here in the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 3 verse 1. No, 2 Chronicles chapter 3 verse 1. Then Solomon began to build the house of the Lord at Jerusalem. In where? In Mount Moriah. So it was on a mountain, where Yahweh appeared unto David his father, in the place that David had prepared in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And another scripture that shows you that, Genesis chapter 2 verse 2. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, the Most High told Abraham to do so, and get thee into the land of Moriah. Where is the land of Moriah? Well, Jerusalem is in the land of Moriah. And offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the many mountains which I tell thee of. So he didn't know which one of the mountains, many mountains by the way. And then when he came there, the Most High told him, that one there, go there, climb it. Climb it to the top and sacrifice your son there. That's what he said. Yeah, so he built that. Okay, so now going back to... Well, 1 Samuel shows you that we were sacrificing in the high places and we were eating there and all these type of things. So sacrificing in high places and in hills, up on hills, is not a bad thing. Because if I'm correct, I have another one here which shows you about the hills. No, that's this one. Shit, I forgot the hills and mountains. Right? Hills. The hills and mountains of Israel. No, these were the wicked ones. They were serving their idols upon the mountain and upon the hills, but the righteous Israelites were doing it too. I forgot that scripture. Sorry, I'm looking for it. Damn it! I'm not gonna find it right now because I can't word it in my head like how it goes again. If I can word it, then I would just type it there in Google and find it. But I can't word it. It's so many. It's just with hills and mountains and stuff like that. But anyway, let me just leave that. Wait. I think I got something. Zechariah 8, and then I think I have it here. I think this one is it. Oh, yeah. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 32. As yet he shall remain at Nob that day. He shall shake his hand against the mountain of the daughters of Zion and the hill of Jerusalem, because we had hills where we used to worship and stuff like that. But it represents also a government, and the mountain of the Lord also represents a government. The Mount Zion also represents an actual mountain, but it also represents the government of the Israelites, as you can read about it here, for example. It also represents a government here. Let me see. Psalms 30 and 7, Yahweh, by thy favor hast thou made my mountain to stand strong. This is the mountain of David, which is his government. Thou didst hide thy face, and I was troubled. That was in the time when he committed the adultery. Then the Most High kind of hid his face from him because, you know. In this time, 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 10. Now therefore, the sword shall never depart from thine house. That's why in his house there was all turmoil, people trying to kill each other. They killed each other, actually. But they're trying to murder him too. His own son. His favorite son, by the way, Absalom. He loved him very much. But his first son got murdered by his other son. But anyway, so it says here, because thou hast despised me and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. He was an Israelite called a Hittite. Thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. So basically, let me see. Howbeit, verse 14, here's the point. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. Right? Because now he gave the wicked Israelites a saying like, hey, what? So you ain't killing him? So wait a minute. So what? Look at what he did. That's your favorite man right there, right? You know how wicked people are. You know, they gonna talk shit. They have something to say against you now. Like, so what about David then, huh? You killed me for adultery, but what about David then, huh? Your favorite man. You have respect unto him? But the Most High said he had mercy on whom he will. So, yeah. I mean, you have shoes, right? And then amongst them shoes, you have a shoe that you like the most. You don't want to walk on grass with it, right? That's it. You don't want to dirty that shoe. See? The Heavenly Father didn't want to harm David. King David wanted to die. He said that it would be better that I died than my son Absalom. He wanted to die. No, it's not here yet. It's in some of these one of these chapters. Oh, it says it right here. Here. I didn't see it. 2 Samuel 18:33, and the king was much moved. You know, he was really, he was feeling it, passionate. He was really into it, and went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he went, thus he said, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would Yahweh I died for thee. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." But this was the curse that came upon him. So the Heavenly Father hid his face a little bit from him, a little time, because he made him flee also from that same son that he was crying for, because he wanted to murder him, and he wanted to be the king, and he raped all his wives. He raped all the wives of King David in the sight of all men. And that was the prophecy coming to pass, where the Lord said, "You did this thing in secret. I will cause your neighbor to sleep with your wives in the sight of all men." And he did that. He literally did it in front of the people. That's crazy. That was your first Pornhub right there. It was crazy, adulterous, fucked up, So, but hey, that was the curse, So yeah, okay. So now going back over here, both that altar and the high place he break down. Josiah did it, and burned the high place, and stamped it, but it's stomped, and stamped it small to powder. He stomped. He grinded it. That's basically what it is. And burned the groves. And what is a grove, you might ask? Okay, so if you go to the book of, so this is Second Kings 23:15, and here is Exodus, but I can go to the other one. Let me see on 2 Kings. What was it again? (23:15). 2 Kings 23:15. So it says here the word gross, right? But it says Hebrew 8:4:2. So it's the same thing as here, Deuteronomy 34:13. Hebrew 8:4:2. So yeah, I don't really need this anymore. It's the same word, just to show you, because sometimes it might say one word in the English in one verse, and the same word in the English in another verse. But if you look at the Hebrew, it's two different words actually. So yeah, I'm gonna just click on this one. Hebrew 4:2. Hebrew 8:4:2. The H stands for Hebrew, and the G in the New Testament, it stands for Greek. Right. So it says here, what does this mean? So it means, so the word groves, it means, so by the way, if you don't know what groves are, it's actually this. Well, I'll get to this later concerning that pine trees. But this is a grove. This is a grove. These are groves. These are trees that on the bottom it's empty, but the shadow thereof is good. Here, the shadow thereof is good. This is in Africa, of course. The shadow of these trees are good. So back in the days, a lot of people used to, our people, well, the heathen nations, we got that from them, but I'm focusing on our people right now. Our people used to do this under these type of trees that have, they call it in the English, they call it spreading trees. And you can see here, for an example, I have it here somewhere. Oh, here you have these type of trees, which are spreading trees, which give a lot of shade. Because it says right here, it doesn't say shade, but here it does say shade. Does it say shade? So Isaiah chapter 1 verse 29, for they shall be ashamed of the oaks which ye shall have desired, and ye shall be confounded of the gardens. No, that's not what I'm looking for, because the shadow of it is good. Under the shade thereof. I got it. So first, Hosea chapter 4 verse 13, it says they sacrifice upon the top of the mountains. So they did that in wickedness. Just like how you have the rainbow, right? The rainbow has nothing to do with sodomy, but the caucus grabbed it and then changed it into something. So now you'd be like, no, I don't want to have nothing to do with that. But it is a beautiful color. But still, I don't want to have nothing to do with it because he did that. Well, the same thing with the high places of worship. We had high places of worship, but we did it in righteousness. King Solomon did it. King David did it. Let me see. Samuel did it and all that there. The scriptures, it shows you. But then you had the wicked side of that did it too. Yeah. So you need to know the difference also. Like some things that you see, you look at people, you be like, that was not actually wicked. Like the word gay. It didn't mean homosexual. It meant happy. and stuff like that. But anyway, I wouldn't be calling myself gay right now. I'm happy today. No, I'm not doing that. But you should know that they change stuff, yeah. But we need to read it as how it was in the original, but understand also that now you can't do that in this future. You shouldn't do it. If you do it, for example, let's say you have you have a house, and in your room you really love the rainbow color. Okay, then you can have a color of rainbow thing in your room. Don't put it in the living room, because when somebody comes in, they'd be like, "Hey, it's nigga gay." Don't do that, you know. And if people come to your house, you can explain it to them, you know. But I wouldn't be walking around with a rainbow umbrella. Back in the days when I was younger, we did have that, like this one. But this one, it was fun because you would think about the rain and the rainbow. You know, it's funny. You have it like that. You'd be like, yeah, I got this, and I'm walking around with this. But then around the 2000s and the end of the 2000s and stuff like that, then is when this rainbow shit really start kicking off, and by the caucus definition of what a rainbow is. Back in the days when I was growing up, you had a few definitions. You had the end of the rainbow. You had a leprechaun with a pot of gold that the devils pushed that in their cartoons and stuff like that. So you had that in your head also when you was younger, because I remember that. I remember trying to find, I was living there, I was born, of course, but and this is a tropical country, so I was trying to find the end of the rainbow. I was looking for it. I wanted that gold. That shows you, I'm gonna torture that motherfucker that made that fantasy about that. I can't wait to get that devil. But still, I looked for it, and I quickly found out, like, you can't find, because I kept on walking, and it kept on going away. It's like putting a steak in front of a dog and then making them run in circles. They have videos like that on YouTube. These devils be pranking animals and stuff like that. So they do that. Also in the cartoons, they put it too. You know, they put a rope in front of you and stuff like that, and then they make you chase it. You know, stuff. So yeah, right. So I had this, but of course later on, when these people started to pop up, there's something in the water. When these people started to pop, you already should know what this is. Look at the hair, okay? But yeah, when these people started to pop up, I want to have nothing to do with this thing anymore. But it is a beautiful color. Okay, same thing with the high places. We used to worship and sacrifice there. The devil worshippers, they also do it and did it. So they sacrifice upon the top of the mountains and burn incense upon the hills. We did also that on the hills and stuff like that. Under oaks and poplars and elms, these are trees, because the shadow thereof is good. Because in the beating sun, light, daylight and stuff like that, you're going to want to, sometimes, actually a lot of times, you're going to want to have some place where you can have shade, but they was doing their devil shit here. Because the shadow thereof is good, you know, it hides them too. This would be a Caucasus paradise. A wicked Israelite too. Don't get it twisted. And the heathen nations too, because the East Indians have it too, but they have it here, for example. Where are they? Because in India, the sun will beat you down. You know, you're not gonna die from it or something like that, but it make you tired. It can make you tired. The sun can make you tired. And yeah. And then they have these little grove places over there. Look at a big grove over here. They call it, it's not sacred, bro. But anyway, the groves of India. What do you think that they do in there? They do these type of things. And that's what they do there. They got their altars and stuff like that. They do these type of things. And South America has it too, man. Don't get it twisted. People in South America have it too. The natives, the Latinos people, and they have shrines to it with their Caucasus Jesus and shit like that. And then you have the so-called black people that do it too, and the natives do it too, like the other natives, not the Latinos. The other natives, you know, the Amazonian ones, those ones and stuff like that. They also do these type of things. Not all of them, of course, man. Not all of them. So it says here, therefore your daughter shall, well, I don't need to read the rest, but still. The point is that the shadows thereof is good. So now going back to over here. So the word groves goes into groves for idol worship. Babylonian, this word over here, Canaanite goddess, but there was also ones from others, not ones, but others from Mesopotamia and stuff like that, of fortune and happiness, the supposed consort of Baal, her images. So it was basically an opposite, but a female version of Baal. Yeah. And the goddesses said, sacred trees and poles set up near an altar. What is set up near an altar? This. Well, this thing. Where is it? Let me see here. This thing. These things are set up near altars back in the days. The Native Americans had these things, which is all witchcraft, but I'm just giving you an example because people in Africa have the same things too. Here, totem poles in Africa. You know, you have these, you see? You have the same things with African faces. You have these same type of things. It's not just a thing of the North American natives and stuff like that. It's not just them. Okay? Every nation had these type of things. You know, that's why the Most High said, don't do what they do. Don't do what they do. Right? But the Native Americans, they took those things from the people of Africa and then they brought them to America. That's what they did. So these are totem poles, which is a grove. This is a wood. It might look like a pole. It looked like a pole, but I mean, it looked like a statue. Whatever. It is a wood. It is a tree. That is what it is. It's just like this thing. Oh, sorry. What is this? A tree. This is a tree. You can call it a chair, whatever you want. It is a tree. And what is this? This is a beam. Now, if you staple them like a cross, what is it? It's still a wood. It's still a tree. You just call it a cross. Because if you have just one, right? One. Well, what would you call this? You call it a beam. But if I put another beam, this here, like, well, I don't know. Well, vertical. Well, if you stand it up, then it will be. Oh man, let me see. Okay, this thing right here. What does it look like? It looks like a cross, right? That's what I mean. I mean that people would then therefore say this is a cross. Well, that's the word that you use to describe what here they would say this is a T. Well, it is a cross too, but still, it's a T. They would say that this is a T, but that's because you want to describe what shape it is. So you associate it with the letter T, but the letter T doesn't exist. Well, it didn't exist back then because the English language is only like, what, 500 years old? It's 1500 or 1400. Yeah, we're on here. Yeah, 1400 years old. Yeah. So it's not that old. So the letter T didn't exist. They changed it. They changed it into the letter T from the Hebrew eventually. Yes, it shows you that right here. Let me see. Nope, not here. This one then. Here. It went from this. It went from they call it Phoenician, but that's the language of Canaan. In Isaiah 29, it speaks about that we will speak the language of Canaan. It's not specifically their language. It's the language that we spoke when we were in that land. And these devils call them Phoenicians in order to take away from Ham. Lord willing, I'm going to get them for that too. Because them Arabs, they want to call themselves Mizraim, the ones in Egypt. They want to call themselves Mizraim because they're devils like that. But they're Shemites. These people are fucking delusional. They want to grab and steal the glory of another. Anyway, then you have the Greek that came out of that one. This is the one that Jacob and Esau. So this is here, this one, the Phoenician, this one is the one that Jacob and Esau spoke. And then Esau, he made the Greek, right? He then made the Greek, which is similar to the Hebrew, the one that we used. That's it. And then Esau again made the Roman Latin. He made the Latin. Well, this is the other one, the Latin one. The ones from the Latin people and stuff like that. They wrote that one. And then you have the Roman Latin of today. That's the other Latin, yeah, which is the ABC one. And then you can see here the letter T start forming. But where did that letter T come from? It came from the letter Wa. And then it came down here, and then it turns into this one. It turned into this one. But it comes basically from the Greek. Comes from the Greek. Okay, but it comes from the, sorry, this one. It comes from here. The Tha. What am I looking for? I'm looking at the Wa. Sorry. I'm supposed to be looking at this one. So the T goes here. I hope you can follow the line that I make with the mouse and stuff like that. You know, so. Okay, enough of that. So basically, this is all wood. This is all a tree. But you just call this a cupboard and call this a island or something like that. I forgot the name of it. Basically, you call this a kitchen. But it's a tree. Well, the same thing with this one. This is a grove. This is a tree. And this is a grove. This is a tree. This is a grove. Because these are the trees that you put in your house. So if you put a Christmas tree in your house, guess what you're doing? You're doing this. You have a sacred tree or poles set up near an altar. And then what do you do? Let me get it right here, sorry. 4:13. Because the shadow thereof is good. But there's another scripture that says that they were under the trees. Under every green tree. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Under every green tree. Under every green tree, right? There is where they, here. So Deuteronomy is good too. What were they doing? Deuteronomy 12:2. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods. Right? But our people started to worship them too, instead of destroying them. Upon the high mountains where they were doing their devil stuff. Upon the hills where they were doing their devil stuff. And under every green tree, they were doing their devil stuff. The Most High said that we should destroy them, right? But we didn't do that. And under every green tree, so what do you also have as an evergreen tree? Evergreen tree. Why is it called an evergreen tree? Because it stays green the whole year round. You can also see that in wintertime when you have these type of mountains and these pictures of the mountains and stuff like that. They are one of the onlier trees. I don't even know how you said it. Yeah, one of the only trees, but the only, well, whatever. They're one of the only trees upon the planet Earth that in the wintertime, they're still full. They're decked out. So people started to worship these trees because they thought to them as like life-bringing and all these type of things, whatever. All those type of things. But what do they put under these trees also? They were worshiping under the trees. And also, what do they put under the trees? I'll give you a hint. They put the Christmas presents over there. You know, the devil presents and stuff like that. Used to be dead bodies in back in the days, but yeah. Baby bodies, actually. Dead babies. That is what it used to be. A bunch of dead babies. Right? Well, they used to kill them. They used to take their life force. That's what they actually wanted. They took their life force. Okay, so and then nowadays they turn it into presents and stuff like that under those evergreen trees. And if you look at it, you will see, well, I'll get to this later. Let me see, go back to over here. Right. So sacred trees or poles set up near an altar. What type of poles? I just showed you these type of poles. It doesn't necessarily have to look like this, you know. This is, of course, reminiscent of the Native Americans, but they're not the only one. They're not the only one that did that. You had, like I said, you had African. You had the African totem poles that if you look at it, you'd be like, yeah, that's from Africa. They didn't. Let me see here, baboons and stuff like that, you know, which one of the animals that they worship also, whatever. Yeah, you have all these type of things. You have all these type of things, you know. Yeah, you would think this is from Native Americans. It's not. It's from Africa. You know, they also had eagles that they worshipped, and they just did a lot of shit. But again, these are not our things. These are the things of the heathen nations that we clung onto ourselves. And of course, you know how Jacob descendants are. Well, Jacob is, and his descendants. We gonna put our own flavor to it, our own little twists and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So then they started to do their little things and stuff like that, you know? Okay, enough of this. And then therefore going back to over here. So what were our people doing? They was worshiping Asherah, because that is the word for groves. So every time you see the word groves, now when you look up the word groves, it actually goes into here. It actually goes into this, forests. That's true, yeah. But what were they doing in the forests? And then you have trees, grove trees and stuff like that. You have these type of things which have good shadow. You know, they have good shadow that they can cover themselves from the heat, and then they could do their little devil stuff without getting tired with the sun beating on their head the whole time and stuff like that. So they did that. But the word here is, then there's Asherah. Basically it's Ashtaroth. It's Ishtar. All of them is the same. They just changed the names. So here you have this word, which is this word here. And then you have the Strongs for it, which is, I'm clicking on it right now actually. Asherah, and then that's something else. I can click this away actually. Totem pole, Christmas tree. This is a grove that you have in your house. That's what it is. That's what it represents. It's a grove. It's a tree. I'll get to this later. But here you have it again. The groves here. Asherah and sacred trees. It's the same thing. I just spelled it different. The sacred trees and stuff like that, which goes into the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is a grove. You just don't have it like, let me see. Sorry. You just don't have it like a whole forest, because you can't. Oh, there's a altar. Oh shit, there's an altar place definitely right here. Secret wizards, where they're witches and wizards of conversation. Now, this is what they're doing. These are the things that they're doing. Let me save this picture right here in order for me to give example. Oh look, oh, didn't even see it. These are the things that our people were doing in the forests. But they got it from the heathen, okay? This is most likely an altar that is not being used anymore, you know? And this one most likely also an altar that is not being used anymore, you know? They had these type of things. They have these type of things all over the world. Yeah. Especially in tropical countries. Okay. And on the hills, they have their little groves and stuff like that on the hills and mountains also and stuff like that. Okay, so enough of all this. Here's another image of Ashtaroth, which is let me see, the Israeli, the Amalekite females. They worship this. They worship a lot of things. But here you see the Christmas tree. Well, the evergreen tree actually. You see the pine trees, the fir trees, all these type of things. And you see the goat. As you can see here, people get tattoos of this little thing. You know, they get tattoos of these things. People are crazy. People are crazy. And let me see, Asherah poles. Okay, so now you see the poles again. One of the poles is what? You have these type of poles. These were the type of poles that they would put near altars. And then they would do all kind of sacrifice. And these type of poles also. These type of poles also. Of course, these type. Of course, these type. These are all poles. Yes, they're poles. They're not wood. They're stone, but this is the same thing. Stones of pillars of stone and pillars of wood. These are pillars. And already read this one thing. Okay, Ashtaroth. So what does it say right here? Let me see. This is that thing. This is the grove idol that they used to worship. And here you can see a plant again. Oh, sorry, tree. Sorry, tree again. You know, these are the things that these people do. And this is Asherah again. They just have different names. And the goat here. I forgot the other word that they use for the goat. It's something with imbex or something. Sorry. Of course, they broke the face because they would show you that it is a dark-skinned woman, a so-called black woman, which is Asherah, which has nothing to do with us. So you can be darker than me. You're not an Israelite. You could be East Indian, whatever. You know, so it has nothing to do with color. Basic, but she was so-called a so-called black female. Well, not black as in Negro, okay? Black as in dark-skinned. I should say that actually. Dark-skinned women. Yeah, darker skinned woman. Okay, so enough of this all, and then going back to over here. So now going back to over here. So it says here. Okay, so and the bones will be. I think I can click this away. Yeah. Okay, so 2 Kings chapter. I'm still explaining verse 2, but let me stay focused. So sorry about that. 2 Kings chapter 23 verse the rest of 15. And burned the high places. That's what Josiah would do. And stamped it small to powder. And burned the groves. What did he burn? He didn't burn the forest. He burned those things. Okay, I'll call you back. He burned those things within the grove, within the forest. Right? Which are these idols? Which are these temples? Which so not all their temples, dude. Which are these things that I just showed you? These statues and stuff like that. These pillars. I think I showed you pillars here. The Christmas tree thing. You know, all these things are groves. Yeah. You had, for example, this. This is ancient Babylon, and this is nowadays with the cannabis and all that type of stuff. I think I actually showed it here. Oh yeah, here it was. Here. So left is the Asherah 3, which is what the groves represents, which is an idol of child. Whatever you type of, whatever kind of crazy stuff you have in your head concerning devil worship and stuff like that, whatever you can imagine, that's what they did right there. Leviticus chapter 18 and Leviticus chapter 20. Those go into what they were doing with those type of things, what they were doing. These Hamites, for example. And this is a modern day cannabis weed, you know, that you can smoke and stuff like that. Yeah, but this is just a drawing and all that type of stuff, you know. Right. Okay, then going back to over here. I'll put all these links in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. And then you can see the poles and pillars that it's talking about. Was it here? Okay, cool. Don't need the rest of that. Okay, this is a grove. And they're crazy. They're charging you like, well, it used to be like 500. No, sorry, 600, 699. Yeah, well, they say 599, but it's 600 euros. Goddamn devils. And this is 400 euros for this tree. And it's a price drop too. And this is of today. Yeah. This is the one of, well, you can't, they probably sold out or something like that, but they do it every year. 119 euros, 70, 300 euros for this tree. You could bet your damn mind. 600, sorry. Well, now it's 400, but yeah. 600 euros for a tree. You know, but now the price has dropped because it's New Year. It's, well, their New Year. It's 1st January. But yeah, let me go back to where I was. Okay, so these are the sacred trees, and that is the word, the groves and stuff like that. And the reason why they call it evergreen trees, because it's green all year round. And yeah, that's it. That's what they use to worship. Not used like as in they don't do it no more. I mean use as in using, you know, because the shadow thereof is good. Also because it protects you against the sun and all that type of stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, the groves. Okay, let me go back over. No. Back over here. 2 Kings chapter 23 verse 16. And Josiah turned himself. He spied the sepulchres that were there in the mountain, because the high places is where they used to do their stuff. But we also worshipped on Mount Zion, Mount Moriah, and a few other hills also, and mountain. Oh yeah, the hill of Samuel. 9. Here. Well, as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, is the seer here? And they say, yeah, he's in a high place and stuff like that. But there's also other places where we used to worship on hills, because we didn't have the house of the Lord yet. So we worshipped, tabernacle, stuff like that. The tabernacle is the tent where the Ark of the Covenant was in. So yeah, we did all these things. So going on, Mount and sent and took the bones out of the sepulchres. So they had sepulchres, graves and stuff like that. They had their graves where their dead bodies were, where their altar was. So let me say it again, sorry. They had their graves where they also had their altars. So they was burying themselves near the altar. That's how much they love the altar. You have these criminals and stuff like that. Let me see. You have these Jacob descendants over there in South America. What do? They have, mind you, people are starving to death over, not starving, but they're not doing that good. And then you have these sepulchres. This is a dead house. This is a house where a dead body is in. They got security cameras. They got all these type of things. They got money in there. They got this. They got that. They got that. They got this and stuff like that, right? And these people, their sepulchres are richer. More money is poured in this than people in the land have normal the ones that have normal houses and stuff like that. You would think that these are houses. These wealthy families, they have to protect themselves. Basically, they bury themselves with all these riches, and their idols is near whatever the fuck they do, man. Whatever the hell they do, man. Whatever the hell, whatever. So what did Josiah do? He didn't even see them. He spied it with his eyes. You know how you glance around and then your eyes catch something, or something catches your eyes and you look and be like, huh? I didn't notice that. Well, his eyes spied it and he saw it, and sent and took the bones out of the sepulchre and burned them upon the altar and polluted the altar. This is how he polluted the altar. According to the word of Yahweh, which the man of Yahweh proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. Damn, it's raining hard. What the hell? Oh, that's not helping. Wow. Okay. So yeah, so the point is that he defiled the altars of theirs, and this was the prophecy that was done by the man of Yahweh 300 years ago, about 300 something years ago, right? So he defiled it. Now you might ask yourself, like, so they burned people there, like children, whatever, anything you can imagine. Like I said a few moments ago, I said they take souls, they take lives, they sacrifice lives. They don't do dead bones. That's not what they do. So according to the word of Yahweh, which the man of Yahweh from Judah, in this case it was the man of Yahweh from Judah who proclaimed these words. And then you have here, you might ask yourselves, like, how is dead bones making their child sacrifice, blood sacrifice, murder sacrifice altars unclean? Well, it says right here, The book of Numbers chapter 19 verse 11. He that touches the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. He shall purify. Okay, let me see. The point is, yeah, that's the point already. So let me see. Verse 13. Whosoever toucheth the dead body of any man that is dead, and purified not himself, defileth the tabernacle, that his soul shall be cut off. Okay, verse 14. This is the law, when a man dieth in a tent, all that come into the tent and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days. And every open vessel that doesn't have a lid on it, which had no covering bound upon it, is unclean. Back in the days, we used to bound coverings like this. So let me see. We used to do this. Vessels. Earthen vessels, actually. Right. These things, but then you had so this is a lid, so this is not bound. You have a lid that shit, can't find it actually. You can have a lid and then you can bound it upon it. Let me see. Ancient wine bottles, but then you have something that no, wait, ancient wine bottles. I hope you can already imagine what I'm trying to do right now, but I can't find it. I can't word it. Ancient wine bottles with Tide. You had these type of things. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. I just saw it. Damn, here it goes. You had these type, but then you had ones with rope. Ah, this is what I'm looking for. Well, this is now modern day ones. But back in the days, you had these type of ones with the got it. This one, you had these type of ones, but minus the glass. You had this, but then it would then therefore be a. Hey, is this it? Yeah. This is glass, but you can kind of imagine, these type of things. And then you had others with corks. Yes, you did have corks back in the days. You did have glass too, but not like how they have now, fancy ones and stuff like that. But yeah, this one, and then with the rope tying it because it's bound, right? Or a cork. A cork could be used also, so yeah, these ones you have too. Vintage wine bottles and stuff like that, like these ones. Yeah, better. Well, this is wrapped. It's wrapped over the glass. So, but you had other ones that are just this without glass in it, and then the inside would be animal. You got that thing again? Yeah. Wait. Sorry, man. I'm looking for something. Animal. Here. Animal leather. This one, you had this. Then they would have the with the robe, but this is fancy. But you had older ones of these that were made of elephant. No, I saw elephant. That's why I said it. I saw elephant. That's not what I wanted to say. You had the ones of leather. That's what I wanted to say. You have the ones of leather of a ram, or goat, or cow. Then you had that, and then they would look like this, very old and all that there. And if you keep on reusing this, it would get soft, These were the wine bottles back in the days. That's why you needed to have new ones from time to time, because it would get soggy and old, But yeah, this would then therefore be the layer, and then you would put this one, and then you would put it in this one. And then you have a stable thing, instead of being all soggy and flappy and all that type of stuff. Right. So instead of the glass, you would have the leather. It's different in different regions, and also in the same region you can have a person that would be different. Oh yeah, I forgot about these ones. Now these ones, this is glass, of course, but you have these ones. Calabash. You have this one. This one I know from the country that I'm from. I know that because I use this to drink, and we bathe with this too. But then it's this form. This you could bathe with this one. You know, you could wash yourself with this one. You know, this one I used to wash myself with this one. This one I drink out of. But in Japan, in China, they have it too. In the kung fu movies, you can see this. In the kung fu movies, and they also have it with the rope and stuff like that. I wasn't thinking about it. Kung fu movies, Calabash drinking. Oh yeah, the wine. Wine bottles. Oh, look at right there. Got it. No, this is glass. But yeah, I think I'm overdoing it here. Kung fu bottles with the examples. Wow, ancient Chinese. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for, man. Wow. I couldn't. Because I said with the rope. You know, that's what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for, man. Damn. It's good that I actually looked it up. I was really looking for it. You had the one with the cork, of course. But this is the original one that I was actually picturing in my head. This is the one. This is bound. These are the vessels that are bound. Damn, I could leave it right there. Man, wow. So, which had no covering bound upon it is unclean. And whosoever toucheth one that is slain with a sword in the open field, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. 2 Kings 23:13. And the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mount of corruption, because they was doing corrupt things over there in that mountain, which Solomon, because he did it, which Solomon, king of Israel, had built for Ashtaroth, the abomination of the Sidonians. This is the same thing that is groves. It's spelled different. Yeah, you will see a woman. You will see here, look. They call it Beelzebub, they call it Belial, they call all these type of, it's all the same thing, man. Look, you see you get the same woman. You get the same woman that standeth upon a lion, but it looked like a mouse or a rat. This is also the Easter bunny, because she has bird feet. This is also the Easter bunny female. Ishtar, they call it also. They have a lot of names, man. They have a lot of names for these entities and stuff like that, you know? They have a lot of names. This is another one, the female Baal. This is her also. It's the same thing. Now she's a cow female. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Here you can see this one, this picture that I showed when I typed in the other name, which is this one, Ashtarim. No. This one is her. It's the same thing. Look. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Queen. This is the Queen of Heaven. That's her title name in the scriptures. Is the Queen of Heaven, and which is what the Israelites worship. And this is one of the poles that they have, these idol worshiping things that they had, the Israelites, right? So now I think I can go back over here. Yeah, the abomination of the Sidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon, did the king defile. So what king defiled it? It was Josiah. He defiled all those things. He burned, he burned the bones of the false pastors. The false priests. The false priests that were there, that were worshiping that thing when they were alive. 300 years later, he gathered up their dead ass bones, and then he burned it upon their altars. And he break in pieces the images, and cut down the groves, and build their place with the bones of men, and filled their place with the bones of men. He made everything unclean. And you might think to yourself, like, that don't make no sense, because they burn dead bodies there. They take souls there, and they burn dead bodies and people and children. They do human sacrifice. Yeah, but they don't take bones of dead people and then they put it there and then burn that. They don't do that because that's unclean, even for the devil. They want fresh bodies. When it's a fresh body to take the soul, that's the one that they burn. They don't burn all dead bones. They don't do that. Well, not here. That's not here. 1 Kings 14:23. For they also built them high places and images and groves on every high hill and under every green. I already read that. Yeah. So going back to over here. So that is what he did. He defiled their altar. The altar was defiled because the man of the Lord came 300 years before it happened. 360 something years before it happened, and he told them that that is what would happen to the altar. Okay, so now I think I can read the rest without really going into other stuff. So I'm gonna make a third part